not happy with the way we ended up that homestand with that loss against Atlanta. Thought that was the first game, Chris, where we didn't play with effort for 48 minutes. Coming here against a very good team that's playing well, I really have an admiration of how this team plays. They have great toughness. They guard, they move it, they shoot it, and I think Brad's done a great job, obviously. But it's a challenge. We have 3 teams that are fighting for playoff positioning. Washington trying to get into the mix, but we're going to take it one game at a time and see what we can do here to start off against Boston.
What are your memories of Isaiah Thomas in Sacramento?
Yeah, great memories. Isaiah and I still remain close. Love him as a person, love him as a player. A guy that I did not want to lose while I was in SAC in our second season. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Last pick in the draft, he's got that, keep on doubting me attitude, and he has a passion for the game. He loves being in the gym, a guy that you just like to be around, and that's why I think he's worthy of an all-star reserve spot this year, which I hope he gets. He's worked very, very hard. You look at his numbers, and I think he's definitely a guy that should be on that team.
Where have you seen growth in him?
Playmaking. He's a scorer. I think what happens a lot of times, to be very honest, is people try to change players. Isaiah's been a scorer his whole life, high school, college, and when we had him in SAC, I don't want him to become John Stockton. He's never going to be John Stockton. Take him for who he is. But within that, I said you have to be a guy that can run his team, make the right decision, and value the ball. And when you've done your job of drawing 2 defenders, just make the right play. So you look at his, I think he's just under 7 assists right now. He's almost got a 2-to-1 ratio, a 3-to-1 ratio rather. So I think his playmaking ability, his ability to value the basketball, and then I think on the other end of the floor, just being solid defensively. But he's always been a guy that can score. He can score in his sleep. But it was the other things that he needed to improve upon, and I think he's done that, and he's made a concerted effort to do so.
How has he done defensively?
I think, anytime you play alongside a guy like Avery Bradley, Crowder, Marcus Smart, those guys I think are terrific defenders. I'm jealous of some of the defenders that they have. They have a team with grit and toughness. But I think he's improved. I think he understands that everybody's defense, whether it's with me in SAC or Brad here in Boston, your defense starts on the ball. You have to be able to contain the ball. You have to be able to guard pick and roll. And I think Isaiah, while I had him, he improved just in the season that we had him. And I think he's only gotten better since then.
Coach, you're one of only 4 teams to beat Golden State this year. It looked like you were the only team to really initiate your offense from the post against them. Can you take us into that mindset?
Well, we got lucky. We're one of 4 teams. We played them well for whatever reason. The league is all about matchups. We lost to them in overtime in Golden State, and then Draymond sat out our game, and we were able to beat him at home in a game that we led, wire to wire. But they play a lot of small ball. So the areas that they have, especially when Draymond doesn't play, where you can hurt them, are in the paint and on the glass. And we were able to do that, and I think our guards had great discipline that game in guarding Steph Curry and guarding Klay Thompson. But by no means do we have the secret to beating the Golden State Warriors. I'd be a rich man if I had that.
And speaking of in the paint on the glass, Nikola Jokic has pretty much been right on par with Towns, Porzingis, Okafor this year. Can you just talk about how much of a surprise to the league he's been?
Well, I'll take it a step further, and just being completely honest, he's been a surprise to us. Nobody, when the season began, was able to envision Nikola playing at the level he played at. We had him in summer league and training camp, but he's a guy that nobody really talks about, which is great. He came in this league, no one knows about him, and people are starting to figure out who he is. His skill level, his shooting, his passing, the touch that he has, his IQ are really uncanny for a kid that is 20 years old and a rookie. And he's only going to get better. He was a point guard many, many years ago. As he said it, I was a fat point guard. He grew a lot, and his feel for the game, he could be our best passer. Emmaunel Mudiay is a hell of a playmaker, but some of the passes that Jokic makes are, you look at yourself and say, that was an unbelievable. How did he see that for a big guy? And the great thing about it is he's only going to get better. 20 years old, rookie. He lost 30 pounds after summer league. Speaks to his dedication, the fact that he's willing to do whatever it takes to become a player in this league, and he's off to a hell of a start.
What's it like? How much of his feel of the game came from his older brothers and their influence?
Yeah, obviously, being around the game, Serbia, back home, his 2 older brothers playing, I'm sure definitely helped. And I also think being a point guard, having the ball in his hands. We do a lot of skill development, and he might have one of the better handles on our team. for a guy that is 7 feet tall and plays the center position. So it speaks to where he's from, his brothers, and the fact that most European kids when they come over here are a lot more skilled than American players. That's just the facts right now.
So many teams in the league are moving centers further away from the rim. So how important is it for a low post center to be kind of a point of distribution?
Well, it definitely helps. If you're going to play through your big away from the basket, whether it be in the high post or on the elbows, you want that guy to be able to facilitate, which means being able to value the ball, being able to read the defense and make the right play. I had the fortune of coaching DeMarcus Cousins in Sacramento, same thing. But he had the ability to do it all. Back to the basket, facing, high post, elbows, and he would make the right play. Shoot, pass, drive, whatever it may be. And we have, we think, a bunch of young bigs, not only in Jokic, but Yusuf Nurkic, Joffrey Laverne, all guys that can play facing the basket, shoot the ball with consistency, and make the right play in terms of passing the ball. So, we feel great about that moving forward.
Mike, is Mudiay where you hoped he'd be at this point, behind ahead?
If you would have asked me that probably about a month ago, I'd say maybe a little behind, to be very honest. He hurt his ankle, was out roughly 30 days, and I think that break really allowed him to relax, take a deep breath, stop putting so much pressure on himself. And the way he's been playing lately, he's ahead of schedule. I really like how well he's played lately. He's been very, very aggressive. He's playing with emotion. I think we're seeing his personality come out. And I think as a 19-year-old rookie, at first he was somewhat reserved, deferring to some of the other vets around here. But we're seeing his capabilities and the potential that he has in terms of being aggressive, finishing at the rim, his playmaking ability. He's valuing the basketball at a higher level. His defense has improved, and his jump shooting. Last game against Atlanta, he did not shoot the ball well, but he has been stepping into his shot and shooting it with greater confidence as of late. So in the month of January, this is who we anticipated, and he's only going to get better.
What's it like to coach a team with a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 21-year-old starting?
Frustrating. No, it's good and bad. I was telling somebody, you look at the roster that came out for the rookie, sophomore, the world, whatever they call it, which Gary Harris should have made. But on the USA team, only one player on that team is from a team with a winning record, and that's Marcus Smart. Everybody else is from a losing record. And so what that says to me is that when you're young in the NBA, it's hard to win. Because the Lakers have guys, we have guys, Minnesota has guys, but none of those are winning teams at the moment. In the moment, at times, it can be frustrating because young guys, they're going to go through growing pains. They need to learn from their mistakes, right? Experience is the best teacher. But then you step back from it and you say, okay, you project where they can be, and then that gets exciting because you say, okay, these guys all have potential, and if we continue to help them develop, put pieces around them, and they mature, there's a chance that these guys can develop into very good basketball players, which can allow us to get back into becoming a playoff team.